Hey friends, your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish. Today, I'm going to show how to clone the Lazy Campaign template in Notion when you are setting up a brand new campaign for your adventure. I am actually going to be running a Scarlet Citadel campaign. Today is my session 0 that I'm going to run, and I'm going to show how to clone the template and get it set up for a brand new campaign. So the first thing you need to do is go in the show notes below. You will see a link to the Notion campaign template. This assumes you already have a Notion account set up. If you don't know anything about Notion, you can go to Notion, it's Notion.so, and learn all about it. But you can set up an account on Notion, and then when you click the template, you can actually duplicate it. So this presumes that I've already duplicated the template. So right here, you see Lazy Campaign Template. And I go to the little 3 dots, and I say Duplicate. And that duplicates that template plus all of the pages underneath it so that there's a whole new copy. And you see it says Lazy Campaign Template 1. So I click on the Lazy Campaign Template, and it fires up a new Lazy Campaign Template page here. We can get rid of this sidebar here. And I'm going to change this, and we're going to call this Scarlet. This is Sunday, Scarlet Citadel. So there is a bunch of boilerplate text in here. This is all the text that's in here in order to tell you how to use this template. If you've never used it before, I suggest reading through the template, getting an idea of what's there. It describes how to make modifications and everything like that. But once you're getting ready to use the template for your own game, you can cut all of this stuff out. And there's one bit that's a little tricky. Most of the time you just delete it straight from it, and there you go. So I don't need any of the boilerplate text because it's my own template and I know what to do. So I'm going to select all of this stuff and just delete it. Boop. And so now it's all gone. And then there's also the template change log. I keep that on there so that people know what has changed when they're using a different one. I delete all that too. Boop. And that is now gone. And I don't need this session notes template sample because I'm actually going to be generating a new session note page using the generator link above. So I delete this as well. Delete. Now, I've got all of these other sections here, and we're gonna modify those. But here's the trickiest bit. The trickiest bit is that you want to modify the generator for the session planning template. So you go in here, you see the little gear icon, the configure template. You click that, and then down in here, there's a session note. It opens up this window here, and it has a session notes template document. And you click into that document. And this is going to modify the template so that every time you generate new session notes, this is what's going to show up. And you want to get rid of all the boilerplate text in here. Again, you can read it all. I suggest reading it all if you're not familiar with this. Read it all up. And then we have like 2 new characters. The characters you can leave in because when you modify the character page, it'll update this. So you don't need to modify this in this section. But you have like this, check off when revealed for the secrets and clues. You can get rid of that. The build fantastic locations, you can get rid of this. The location link is kind of handy because it actually goes to the location page. So we're going to leave that in there, but we don't have to say build fantastic. We'll keep it around there. It helps us remember what we're doing. Delete that. We have review NPCs as an NPC link. You can delete that. You can also delete the sample because you don't need the sample. The monsters, I have the Lazy GM, Lazy DM encounter building guidelines in here. If you know them by heart, you don't need to have that in there, but you can keep them around if you want to have it. You can get rid of that. Then the scratch pad. Now, one thing we're going to do is once we actually know who the characters are, we're going to come back into this template and we're going to add the characters into the scratch pad so we can use it for initiative and things like that. But we're not going to do that right now. And then you can get rid of this boilerplate text. So now that you've gotten rid of, and actually for secrets and clues, instead of having 10 already set, we just need 1 to get us started. And same thing with scenes. Whoops. Cut that back down. Monsters. I'm going to keep that deadly encounter benchmark because that's always handy. But I really only need 1 list because every time I add something and hit return, it's going to put up a new bullet anyway. So I don't need to have 3 sample bullets. That's really just there to kind of show how that works. So now we have a nice clean template ready to go. And so this is saved, it saves automatically. And now when you go back, when you click this, I'll show it right now. When I click generate a session planning template, it creates a new page and it's already customized based on what I just did. So anytime you want to customize your own template, you can go into that gear icon, go back into the template, click on the gear icon, modify the template, and anything you modify in there will change what's in this page every time you generate it. It's a really handy way to build the template up. So then I'm going to clean up other things in here. So I'm going to go into characters. I have these 2 sort of placeholder characters. We're going to yank those because I'm going to have brand new characters today. And because I'm doing my session 0 today, I don't know any information about the characters, so I'm not ready to fill any of this out yet. And then we see same thing. Oh, I already deleted the NPCs. That's good. Locations, I can delete the locations. These were all, again, they're all sample places. And we can just delete those, bang. So that it's all empty. The whole campaign database is empty. Villains. Now, something I do, I keep this around because it's handy for other people, but I don't think I really use, to me, villains are just NPCs. So I actually delete the villain page and I delete the item page because I really just don't need them. So I really only need characters, NPCs, and locations. That's pretty much for when I'm streamlining my template to make it easier for me. This is really what I need. The single page Lazy DM prep template, that's again a tool that if you just want one page for when you're doing like a single session, you can use that. This is going to be for a longer campaign, so I don't need that, so I can delete that too. So now I have my nice streamlined Notion notebook here. If I go into the campaign notebook, it looks like I've got another NPC in here. We'll delete him. So now the campaign database is empty. All right, it's ready to go. Now the other thing we can do, and so we have like old session notes. This is where we once we've had a session, we drag it in. I'm going to delete this here, and I have my session 0 notes. The thing about my session 0 notes is that I already have a one-page handout for my campaign, so I actually don't need to have a separate session. This is handy if you don't want to build like your own PDF of this that you send to players. It's good to have this session 0 note page, but I already have my session note template, so I'm going to hit delete here. And what I can actually do is create a new section here, and we're going to call this accessories. And in here, I can upload a PDF. I think I'm just going to link it. So how do I do that? Just go to File, and then I will load up a file. You guys can't see this, but you'll have to trust me that I'm loading a file up here. And we're going to D&D, and we're going to Scarlet Citadel, and we have my Scarlet Citadel campaign sheet. So now I have a link to a file, and I can just click this, and it opens it up, and it shows the one-page guide. So I still have my session 0 notes. They're just in a PDF instead of in the note. Now, the other thing you can do to kind of customize this, I like to take artwork from the game and kind of customize my template here so that it looks different. So one of the things I will do is I'll remove the icon, for example. And then I'm going to go into the Scarlet Citadel PDF from Kobold Press, because this is what I'm running. And I like that guy. Let's blow him. Let's get a bigger icon. So that's a cool icon, right? I'm going to grab that guy and just save that to desktop. Grab a little screenshot. I have a little screenshot tool. You just lasso the guy, create a screenshot. That's not really, how to do that isn't really part of what we're talking about here. And you upload a file, and we grab that screenshot, and it now adds that template. So now I've got a little bit of a customization to show me that this is my Scarlet Citadel. This is my Scarlet Citadel game. Then for the main image here, now you can keep this, all the art that's in here is art that comes from me. It's all stuff that's part of the books that I publish. So if you just want to leave the art because it's just nice, fun fantasy art, you can certainly do that. But if you want to add other art, what you can do is go through your PDF, and we'll find a nice piece of art that we like. So here's an example. This is actually the image that I'm using right down below. This is the Red Tower one. Very peaceful. I really like this. I like this image. I don't know if it best represents the adventure over, but it's not bad. And so I'm probably going to use it for the time being. So I go in here, I can click on change the cover, and I can upload a new image, and I can upload that screenshot that I just made, and it adds it in there. And you can reposition it and kind of move it so that it shows best, and that looks good, and you hit save. And that's it. And so you can do that for every one of the pages. So you can go into characters, you can go into NPCs, you can go into locations, you can go into the campaign database, you can do all this stuff and sort of update these cover images to really customize the template so that it looks cool for your campaign. Now, why do you do this? Well, I do it. You don't have to, because you're the only one that's really going to see it. Maybe you and your friends on the internet are the only people that are going to see it. But I find that it really helps me kind of get my head into the game. When I have a lot of artwork from the game that I'm running, it really helps me get my head in the game. It really helps me kind of get into that fantasy world, thinking about the world that I'm in, forgetting about the world, the real world for a while, and kind of getting into it. So I really like to use sort of inspirational art wherever I go. So let's change some stuff up. So we'll change our cover. I think I like that. We're going to see if this works. That's kind of cool. It's grim and cool, right? I like that. Then we go to characters, and we'll change our cover here. See what we like. We'll do this guy. 2 characters fighting an octopus. That's cool. And we'll do our NPCs. Not perfect, but it'll do. Again, you can see how you kind of have to frame it and get it exactly right. Locations. I love that art, by the way. It's my favorite piece of art from Ruins of the Grenoble Route. That works well for locations. Campaign database. I can add a cover for this. I don't really go to the database page very often. See, I never know exactly how to frame it. Do I cut those guys off? I cut the door? That'll do. I can do a page for old session notes too. Why not? I've got a lot of art. Go with the fighting the harpies. I like this one's too scary. I like the original happy art. I'm gonna go to my happy place. So there, we're going with that. But then I think for the campaign database, I'll change that to this cool thing. Because that looks cool. There we go. So now I've customized a whole Notion template and it's ready to go. I can add new pages if I want. I can add all new content. I can add my characters. I can add NPCs. I can create a new session planning template. I can do all of that stuff in this new template. So that is how to customize the Lazy DM campaign Notion template. Again, you can find a link and an article to talk more about it. Try it out, play with it. You can't hurt anything. And it's a really fun way and a really cool way to get some notes set up in Notion. I've been using this about 2 years now. I've been using Notion to do my campaign planning, and I really dig it. I really like it a lot. I enjoy it. One last thing I'll share is, let's say that you've built a big campaign. I'm going to actually do this with my old one. So I have my Numenera campaign, my Numenera 4th Emperor campaign. Great big campaign. I have all my old session notes in here, every session of the game that we ran. I have all of my NPCs and factions. I got lots of stuff in here. And the big question is like, yeah, but what if Notion goes down? What if for some reason we lose track of Notion or Notion goes away or something like that? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here. I'm going to hit export, and I'm going to export it all as HTML. I'm going to say include everything and include subpages and create folders for subpages. And then I hit export, and it's going to email me, and it's going to send me a package of everything that's in Notion. So I'm going to have a zip file, local file. That's the HTML version of this whole thing. Now, you can't modify your HTML version like you can the original version, but you can open it up and you can look at all of the stuff that you have. It's not going to look exactly like it looks in Notion. It's going to be its own kind of HTML version. But you can see it's up to what? It's closing in on 200 pages so far. And that's become my campaign archive. So I have a local campaign archive of every campaign that I've run. And once I've run a campaign, I don't ever really go back and change the notes again. So that's a really good point to export it and set it aside. It does all of the images. It does the database stuff. It doesn't do the segmented database. It basically only does one big page that has everything in it. So those subpages for like NPCs and factions, locations and stuff like that aren't going to break them out. But everything is in the database. So you can find everything in the database itself. I find it to be a really good, handy way to make sure that you have a local copy that's separate from what you have in Notion. So you still keep it in Notion, so as long as Notion's around, you're good. But you can also take this HTML version and you can save that off to the side and make sure that you have that one going. So here is what the export looks like. It still has all the art. It still has all the icons. You can still click on like the characters and it shows who they are. You click on those, you get information about the characters. Each of the characters, I have like the pictures that I put in there. I have the notes that I put in for each of the characters. It just exports the whole thing as flat HTML. NPCs, so you can see here, it didn't separate out NPCs locations. This is basically just a copy of what's in the database. But I can click on every one of these and see information about the NPCs. So I've got all of those. If I want to see about Radius, I can click on Radius. I get a picture of Radius and description. Any of the links that I put in there are links. So if I say Glistening Army, it goes back to the Glistening Army. If I click on my old session notes, I can see all of my old session notes. I can go back to each one and I can read what notes I had put in place. There is the little checkbox thing. It doesn't work because it shows which ones I checked off and which ones I didn't. But again, you can't interact with it, but it is a good, solid copy. So it's a good way to export everything, have a local copy sitting there and making sure that it all works out fine. So that is all how to customize the Lazy DM prep template in Notion for your campaign. If you enjoyed this video, you can help me out by subscribing to the Sly Flourish newsletter, where you get access to a adventure generator PDF plus a D&D article sent to your inbox every week. You can support me directly on Patreon, where you get access to all kinds of tools, tips, and tricks like this and others, video previews, the City of Arches sourcebook, a bunch of exclusive adventures, all kinds of stuff by subscribing to Sly Flourish on the Sly Flourish Patreon. You can pick up any of my books in the Sly Flourish bookstore, and you can share this video with your friends, like it, subscribe to my channel, let people know that you enjoy my work. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the video.